evening, one and all. It's an early one for me tonight. Thought I'd get the Facebook Live done before I've got to do the other little bits and pieces. So, firstly, hope everyone's had a great day, enjoying the sun if you've got the sun where you are. Hope you're all well and all of that good stuff. So, the title of my Facebook Live is something like, because I quite can't remember, what lane are you driving in? Yeah, what lane are you driving in? And this is a moment of genius, a moment of inspiration that came to me while I was on my first podcast interview uh, by who I call the Michael Parkinson of the podcasting world, Uta Maris. And after this Facebook Live is done, I'll post a link to the full interview if you haven't watched it yet. But during that interview, I can't remember how it came up about, but I basically came up with an analogy of a motorway to describe life. And like I say, for me, it just was like something got off the spot. And it just came into my head and I just kept rolling with it, and it came out good in my opinion. And that's the thing when you're in a creative mode or thinking creative, of allowing yourself to be creative, things just come up off the cuff. So what was I talking about? I was talking about life being like a lane, like a motorway lanes, using the free lane analogy. Um, and I was explaining with my Facebook lives, I was kind of like in um, the slower lane, the left hand lane, whereas other speakers who, sorry, I just whole heap of things flashing up on my phone. I was describing how other speakers who I had connected with through Warren Ryan, a Speakers Express webinar, who already have got coaching businesses and speaking already, were in the fast lane. And at first I felt I had to be in the fast lane or I could have be connected with these people. But through the support, through several of these speakers and Warren himself, they just let me know that is okay. Hey Nana, how you doing? I've seen your stuff. You're tweeting about Emmerdale and now how you've been invited to speak on the subject. I've seen it. Right, sorry, just had a excellent lighting. Is that tongue in cheek, man? You know, you might know the troubles I've had with the lighting. Um, if it is good lighting, I'll probably mark the spot where I am right now. I was just about to say, I've seen a couple of things on Twitter. I'm thinking about getting on Twitter myself, hopefully by the end of this week. And I know you're quite active on there. I'll probably come to ask you for some tips and the etiquette of Twitter, all in good time. So yeah, I was talking about the using the motorway lanes as an analogy for life and progress. And I was just saying how I felt with what I'm doing with my Facebook Lives compared to some other. Yeah, that was at Scope. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't had a brain freeze there, Nana. All good stuff. All good stuff. I was talking about how with my Facebook Lives, I felt like I was in a slow lane, and the other speakers who I was have been connected to were in the fast lane, doing Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and all the rest of it. And there was me just in my Facebook, just starting off doing Facebook Lives. But I came to learn that was okay for me because that was my journey. My journey is not the same as these other speakers. In the speaking world of side of things, they're further ahead, but they've all been doing it a lot longer than I have. So it's not overly surprising. But just because I'm in that lane, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. And a couple of weeks ago, I created my own YouTube channel and put all my Facebook Lives on there and continue to put my Facebook Lives on there. So that was me. For me, I kind of shift into... oh, thank you, Nana, for that advice. That for me was a shift into the middle lane for me, going a little bit faster, as you do or as you should do on the motorway. I'm not going to get into too much of the rules and regulations of driving on the motorway, but traditionally your left lane is your slow lane, your middle lane is your faster lane, and your third lane, the fast lane, is the faster lane. And some motorways, like the M25, is like five lanes. So I was just using that analogy for myself. I kind of coined it for myself. I found my lane. I found my lane in life in terms of the public speaking. And right now, just using public speaking as a hobby. Is actually a hobby I'm enjoying doing. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I'm not looking to turn it into a business. I haven't got a product or service to sell. as I said. So it's just a hobby I'm enjoying. And when I was being interviewed by Uttam, I kind of thought about that motorway analogy about how life, a couple of things, a few things. So the motorway is always moving forwards. If you're moving backwards in a motorway, you've got a problem, and you're probably going to end up on the news causing an accident. So on a motorway, or I don't think I've got anybody from America listening, but if you're listening years in the future, the freeway um, is always moving forward. There's no um, stopping on the motorway as such. You've got the hard shoulder, so in times of emergency, um, in times of your vehicle being broken down, in times you've got a problem, you can come off the hard shoulder, and that can happen to us in life. We could have a bereavement, something that for us in our own life can put things on hold on life, and we just need to take time out. So that could be your hard shoulder, that could be your motorway service station. Sometimes we need a holiday. Sometimes we need to come off the motorway of life and recharge and refuel, and that's what we do on a motorway service station. Have a rest, and then when we're ready, we come back on. Your left lane is your slow lane, so sometimes you may not think that things are happening or things are moving forward, but in life, you're always moving forward. You're moving backwards. You're never still. So that could be a slow lane. Or if you're doing something new, so this public speaking thing is still relatively new for me. I think I'm in my second month of doing my Facebook Lives. So in some aspects, you say I'm still in the slow lane. I'm learning. I'm learning lots and lots. Learning more, trying to learn more about reaching people through social media. So for me, I'm in my slow lane. I'm doing a nice little pace at the moment with the Facebook Lives. And occasionally I'm moving to the middle lane, like when I did YouTube. It took me a few hours to set it up, had to move a bit faster with it. But once it's set it up, now it's so easy for me just to put my Facebook Lives daily on there. So that's the middle lane. But sometimes in life, we get opportunities that sometimes you would describe it as once in a lifetime opportunities. And for those opportunities, you may need to go into the fast lane and just work full out at it, get yourself on a level to the opportunity. Sometimes the opportunity comes before you may think you're ready, and you have to step up. So you have to move quicker, and you have to drop some things, or there might be little bit of inconvenience in your life. Some things may seem a bit messy while you're in that fast lane. But the good thing about the fast lane, if you feel like you're going too fast, it's only could be a short period of time, and then you can move back into the middle lane. And that's the thing with life. Life is flexible, just like the motorway. You can move in different lanes. Hey JJ, aka John, how you doing? Long time no speak. Give me a call when you can. It's good to see you on here. If you don't know what I'm doing, I've started doing Facebook Lives. I've started getting into public speaking as a hobby, and I'm just doing a Facebook Live Monday to Friday. It's just about life, things that are close to my heart, things that people ask me to speak about, things that inspire me, and I'm just talking about using the motorway lanes as an analogy for life and progress. So sometimes we need to take on things before we feel we're ready, and we need to move into that fast lane. That could be a project. It could be a chance to show someone that you're capable of doing something you haven't done before, and for that you need to move into your fast lane of your motorway and just ramp it up. And when that's done, you can move back into your middle lane. Sometimes if you spend too long in the fast lane, you can get burnt out. I did it at one time. I had about 3 jobs, working 7 days a week for 6 months. I was burnt out. I had to take a little break in the little service station and then come back into the slow lane. There's so many. I love this analogy. I'm sure someone else has used it before. It just came to the top of my head. I'm sure it's not original. I didn't copy it of anyone. I haven't heard it before. But there's so many different analogies that the motorway is flexible. We can move. Hi Kelly. Long time no speak from our Barclays days. Me and Kelly used to work in Barclays. Gosh, how many years ago? Feels like ages ago. That was one of the best teams at Oxford Circus I worked under. They were just amazing vibe and energy in a hard job, a fast moving job with lots of people. So yeah. Nice to see you, Kelly. So yeah, in the motorway you can just move in and out different lanes. You don't have to stay in one lane. Sometimes you stay in one lane too long, the middle lane, and people don't think you're fast enough. You will get unfriendly looks, and it might be time to look at your life and just right. I'm going to take up a new skill. Maybe I need to move into the left lane, slow things down a bit while I learn this new skill. And maybe I'm just coasting along, with the just going with the flow and not really looking at my life and pushing myself. We only have one life here. Let's make the most of it. Sometimes there can be a crash, something that forces you to think about your life. That can happen on a motorway. Something forces you to slow down. It might be a lot of traffic ahead. So circumstances can happen to you. Redundancy is quite an often one. A lot of people, or quite a few people, have had the desire to start their own business and haven't done anything for it. They could be coasting in the middle of the lane and what have you, the slow lane. Then they get made redundant, and that forces them to rethink their life, and they have a successful business. The circumstances can come upon us, as well as us forcing the circumstances. So I love this way analogy. I can go on all night about it. I'm not. Take it for what you want. Adapt it to your life. Think about, where are you? What lane are you in at the moment? Are you happy in that lane? Do you even recognise what lane are you in? Do you think you're flying ahead in life when in fact you're in the middle lane? Do you need to ramp it up, or vice versa? So I just like this analogy. It's something I'm playing around with, having fun. But I hope it's of some use to you guys. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what lane you think you're in and why, and in what situation. So for me, when I have my children, definitely, life was in one lane, and next minute out one lane. It was just crazy, fast lane, having not being able to slow down. In some aspects of my life, things I used to do or time I used to have wasn't there. There at the moment, when my kids start wanting to have a fight with each other, I definitely have to move quickly to try and avoid that situation or comfort whoever's come off worse. So children can have a massive, they do have a massive effect on your life. So yeah, make of it what you. It's just it's something I'm quite impressed with myself. If I say so myself, I came up with it in a podcast interview, and I think it's a great analogy to use in life. Now I've had my business head on. I'll probably try and see if I can trademark it somehow, or whatever. But anyway, like I say, this is just a hobby for me. Someone's probably done it already. Yeah, what lane are you in? Use it for what you will. What you will. Can use it for athletics. Any of you sports heads out there, it's often commonly known 200 meters, 400 meters, the outside lane. The one on the outside is the toughest lane. Is the one you have to work the hardest around. Maybe you need to move into a very appropriate for how things are going with me. Cheers, mate. We'll catch up soon. That's from John. Oh, John, I really value that. Yeah, you've taken some value for that. Yeah, catch up soon. It'd be good to do lunch. That's what I'm saying. Just use this for what you will. It's something I thought of with the top of my head, and that's what I do. Things that are close to my heart, I share them with you guys. If you can take something of it and have value, then fantastic. And it's great to hear when that happens. So yeah, it could be athletics. Yeah, lane 8, the toughest lane to work around, just because of the dynamics of the track. Maybe you need to switch into a closer lane. Swimming, you can't really use it. Swimming, I don't know. But anyway, apply similarities, whatever. And yeah, think about it. Use it to review where you're at. If you're happy with where you're at, can you go into a faster lane perhaps? Yeah, just think about it. And if you need to take a break, go down that service station. If there's bereavement in your life, just appreciate where you are. Some people try and carry on. It's just a way of dealing with it. But with bereavement especially, I think we need time to grieve. And that could be right now, could be in the future. But we need to give ourselves that time and space. Move into the slower lane, perhaps go down the service station, hard shoulder, and give ourselves that time. But I'm going to stop waffling, because like I said, I can use this analogy all night. I'm not going to string it out. I think I've given enough for you guys to run with. And I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'll be back tomorrow. I've got one planned for tomorrow, but things can change. Linked to the motorway, kind of a car theme, but we'll see where we go. And yeah, if you haven't seen the podcast, I'll post a link just after this, my interview with Autumn. I've got my YouTube channel with all my videos on there. I think this is number 37 or 38. Something I'm really proud of. And December the 10th, I'm hoping to speak in front of 1,200 people. My first ever public speaking gig. But it's not confirmed. I need to sell tickets to the event. So if you want to find out more about that, yeah, I'll post a link on here as well. But I'm gonna love you, leave you. Hope you're having a great night. Hope you've enjoyed this. Share this with your friends, your people, and yeah, take care. Bye for now.